Hey, this is Derek Murphy from creativity.com. Tonight I'm working on a little project I'm kind of excited about, and I'm going to talk you through kind of what it's about and how I'm using it to build some of my nonfiction things. So as background, when I started writing fiction a few years ago, I had trouble figuring out a plotting guide that worked for me for writing fiction. I developed my own little guide, and I turned it into kind of an adult coloring book because at the time in 2016, adult coloring books were like a big thing. So it's kind of like an activity workbook that includes my 8-point plot structure, which is similar to the Hero's Journey, but it's a little bit different. I did make a video series that goes along with this, but the book is pretty light. It's basically just walking through, these 8 critical plot points, which I think work. I say the essential scenes for in every story, and some people argue that, not all the books are the same, but most commercial fiction, most stories in general, even if you go back thousands of years, they have these critical turning points. And if you don't have some kind of structure in your novel, readers may not feel that it's going forward. They may not feel like there's any momentum or development. So even if you're a pantser, even if you hate outlining, having these basic 8 points can really give a lot of depth and structure to your novel. It can also make it easier to finish your novel faster without spending months and months in revision or trying to fix the broken story out. So I think these are really important. But I put this out on Amazon CreateSpace at the time as a print book, and Amazon wouldn't let me put it up as a Kindle book because it's more of a workbook. It had a lot of like blank pages and stuff, and so it wasn't really meant to be an ebook because Amazon said that this isn't useful content for an ebook. So what I realized last night is that I'm actually working on a much more advanced guide to plotting and writing books now because I've discovered a lot of really advanced writing tips this year working with other authors and coaching people on writing fiction and nonfiction. So I'm developing this new book. I don't know what it's going to be called yet. And I've been organizing. I kind of have been putting out a lot of videos on the higher end craft stuff I've been discovering. And I'm turning that stuff into a book. But what I'm going to do to try to market that book, or one of the ways that I think I'm going to try to launch that book really well, is by going back and turning this book into a perma-free Kindle book. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that looks like and how to set it up. Basically, I've just taken, a lot of this is already free on my website. I've got a bunch of videos that really talk in detail through this 8-step process. And then I have some content here. I think I just like copied the whole book and I pasted it here as a blog post. So it's all free content anyway. But the idea is if people are searching on Amazon for, books or book writing guides or like how to write a book, something like that, I want them to find my perma-free book. There's already stuff up here. And I think like if they search for the plot dot, they could find the paperback, but they couldn't find the ebook. So the advantage of having a perma-free book would be, this is the file that I have that I'm just about to publish. And I've built it out a little bit, but it's only now almost 8,000 words. I'm going to try to build it up to about 10,000, maybe 15,000. I might add some stuff in, but I also want to keep it pretty short because it's going to be a perma-free book. I wanted to show up in the short reads category. And so I've really just focused on like, a light, simple guide to plotting. I don't want it to be overwhelming. But also I've added a few things in that are going to be used for platform building. So I'll show you kind of quickly what I've done. There's the introduction. What you have to do with a nonfiction book especially, you have to get people to buy into the idea. So before you get to the content, in a lot of my previous nonfiction books, I've just done a massive content dump. Like here's all the information you need. And that's not really enough because you have to focus on the dream and the pain points. So you have to talk about, for example, this part. Most authors stall out in the middle. They don't finish their book. They're not sure. They get stuck. They're not sure how to get through it. Or they, spend too long writing and revising. Or they finish publishing books, but nobody's buying it. So they don't know what the problems are, how to fix it. So I'm kind of just highlighting, these are the pain points. I want readers to self-identify and say, yes, I have those problems and I want a solution. So they're also eager to accept my solution. And then I'll make some big promises. So I'll say, down here, this book will help you to do these things. This will, this is what you've been needing. And you can build this up in different ways. The other thing that I'm still missing here is some external credibility. So I've actually had a lot of positive comments on my plotting resources. So I'll go back through YouTube or the emails that I've received because this has really helped people. So I want to add some of those um, kind of testimonials, probably somewhere in the front of the book, even like before I even get into the introduction. I could have 3 or 4 positive testimonials like this book, totally helped me finish my novel and publish it and be more successful. Having some of that stuff in the beginning for other people, because people won't really believe what you're saying about yourself. But if I have third-party testimonials, that'll just help a little bit with the buy-in. You have to really focus in the introduction and the preface on getting them to believe that you have value for them, even, and maybe even especially in a free book, because if it's free, they're not really gonna invest the time or effort. They might read through it, but they may not put it to practice. And if you're not getting them to take results and put it in practice, they're not gonna see the value of your work. And for a perma-free book, like I want them to, buy my next book or buy my course or whatever. I want them to become a fan and follow me on my email list or social media or whatever. I have to really provide value first. So before I share the content, I have to build up, this is good content that will help you. I have to get them willing to look deeper. And then I added a very short preface. This I could have done a lot more with, but I kind of did a little bit of, with nonfiction books, when you're writing your personal biography, this is also something like you don't really want to talk about yourself until after you've focused on them, the problem, the solution. Then they're already on the line, then they're kind of hooked. Then you can sneak in a little bit about yourself. So I've, very lightly said I have a PhD in literature. I've spent years researching this stuff. I've actually sold a lot of books once I figured out this formula, because this stuff will help you write commercial fiction that sells, and that's why it's kind of valuable. And then I also snuck in this little picture. This is some recent pictures I took in the castle that we're renting for NaNoWriMo, or not even NaNoWriMo, it's just a writing retreat. But that's kind of a nice immediate credibility boost where they can see this guy, he's kind of making a living as a writer. He does cool things in castles. It kind of solidifies me a little bit as an expert. It's easier to do with a good picture and with like other people kind of showing my expertise in pictures instead of trying to convince them in words that I'm good at this stuff, which you can do both of. Anyway, that's kind of just some loose stuff. Then I get into the content, which a lot of this stuff I've already had developed, but I did go through and edit it and clean it up. There were some typos in the original plot dot that I never caught because the nonfiction book, books don't really sell very well. It's a free PDF for download on my site, so I've never really invested in cleaning it up because it just didn't matter enough. But now I want this to really be out there as kind of my lead generation. This is a book that I'll run ads to. This will be a free book on Amazon. So the difference, like I'll probably get 10 times the downloads for a free book than I would as a paid book. So even like if my new book on craft does really well, which I hope it will, this book will still get a lot more readers because it's a free book, because it's short, it's practical. It's kind of like the lowest step on the ladder. I want to provide them with easy, quick, simple wins without overwhelming them. And so this is really good stuff on craft, but it's all kind of basic, which is fine because a lot of writers, they find outlining overwhelming and they don't really want to do it anyway. So this is kind of like a simpler guide to plotting. It's only 8 steps. It's also a little bit different way of writing fiction because I really focus on visual storytelling and visualizing your scene. So there's some different methodology for writing fiction here that is unique, which is why I think this book will be helpful. I already know it's helpful stuff for people, but like I said, I want them to go through this book and actually get real value and feel like they're making success. And that's actually something I could do a little bit more on. If I skip down to the bottom, I basically say like, I have a little bit of, the writing process. I really need one more section, and I'll probably work on this a little bit more, but I need one more section that's something like motivational stuff. Like I want to end with positivity. I want to end with like, you can do it. This is possible for you if you're having trouble, like maybe a few motivational quotes from people. I've got a lot of resource and material like that, but what to do when you're feeling burnt out or stuck or you're not sure how to progress or you're guessing yourself. That kind of stuff would be really useful in this because I think this kind of book, because it is kind of basic plotting, how to write your first novel or how to fix your draft. I think the writers at this stage, they do need some more emotional support, because writing a book or a novel especially can be really draining. You feel like you're putting your heart into it. The vision that you have for your book is never like the first draft or even the final draft that you finish, especially if it's your first book. It's never as good as like you wanted it to be. So there's a lot of self-doubt and not exactly depression, but it is common when you finish a first book to kind of have a creative depression, and feel like you feel happy to have finished, but you also have this like energy drain. And that's pretty common when you finish a book, but writers don't know that. So they may feel like, why am I feeling this way? So I could talk about some of that emotional stuff, which is another thing I avoided originally in my nonfiction stuff because I didn't want to deal with all of it. But it actually is a huge part of the creative process. And I want to make sure I address that stuff. I want people to feel good about themselves and about me for making them feel good. So that's some of the stuff I would do kind of at the end here. And then I go into some advanced stuff, and I basically say, like, even for or especially for the perma-free book, I want to give them enough to use, but I also want to make sure they know, like, okay, you have a solid foundation. This is a good beginning. Now you are ready. Like, if you get this stuff down, you're ready to actually go into the more advanced writing tips or techniques that most authors struggle with. Even good writers who have been publishing, I know people who've published, a dozen novels, and none of them sell that well. And they're good, but they're not great because there are some advanced writing tactics that most people aren't teaching. A lot of this stuff is stuff that I've discovered this year by being in a unique space in the industry as a developmental editor, being like coaching or working with co-writers. I'm doing a lot of things that most people don't have the opportunity to do. So I've been able to learn a lot of new ways of trying to formulate or teach how to write high quality novels. So I think that's going to be really useful, but this is all kind of the next stuff. So I just tell them, like, this is the next stuff that's coming that you're going to need to learn. And then I say I'm working on a new advanced book. Once that new book is live, Amazon just changed their pre-order privileges, their pre-order thing, where now you can put pre-orders out up to 1 year in advance. I lost my pre-orders because I pushed back a release date a few months ago. And the penalty used to be they would take away your pre-orders for a year. Some people are getting those restored because they've changed the rules. Now you're allowed to change the date and push out your publishing date for pre-order up to a month. So I'm still trying to get the rights back, but currently I can't put this next book on pre-order, which is fine because, like I said, it's still really rough. I don't really know what the title is, what the cover is going to be yet. So I'm going to put this one up now and start putting it out there and getting it selling and getting reviews and build it, because this is going to be a really key building block that will lead into my next book. So down here, I would have, the cover and the description and go buy my book or sign up to get something. So I should have like a really strong call to action here to like sign up to get the book when it's ready. But for now, I'm just keeping it really simple and linking to my website. But then I do say, you should go to, these are just links to YouTube, or there's a link to my blog. And the reason I want them to go to my blog is because then I can use a Facebook tracking pixel. So if they download this free book, I don't have them on my email list yet, but if I can get them to go over to my blog, then I could retarget them with Facebook ads. So even if they go to my blog and they don't, like on the blog post, which I'll try to show you. So this is the blog post for the more advanced stuff. And I also have a free fiction writing template. And right now it's all just open. So I have this really cool graphic. This took me quite a bit of time to figure out, like, how do I take my 8-point plot point and break it down into a full book outline for commercial fiction, which has 24 chapters. And I did a pretty good job of this. I think it works really well. And so then I also have a link. This is 90% off to this course I have on writing, which I'll probably raise the price because it's too cheap, but I'm also kind of just using it as kind of a lead gen, because if I can help people finish writing a good book, then maybe they will want, marketing help or book covers or editing or all this other stuff that I offer. So it's kind of just the core basic bottom of the pyramid, which is why I've made it cheaper. But even so, this could easily be $100 course. And there's a lot of value in it that I don't think is really being taught anywhere else. So, but I'm going to finish the course up, and maybe I'll play around with different price points and stuff. But I also kind of like just keeping it cheap. So then there's a video that walks, it's like an hour-long video that walks through all this, and then I have download the template. And then I also have it all just here, but it's just very loose notes. It's not really enough. They would have to watch the video to actually learn it all. And this is some of the stuff that the new book will do, is I'll really walk through this stuff in a lot more detail in words, so that people don't have time to watch all the videos. So this is basically going to be the landing page. If they read the free book, they would come to this page. What I need to do, and what I should do, is I would probably have these protected behind an opt-in, so they'd have to opt in to download the template, which is fair. On the other hand, I kind of like just giving out the free thing, but one of the things I will do is with this coupon code, what I want to start doing with a lot of my nonfiction books is just adding the coupon link inside the actual books. And I'm not sure if I'll do that with the book on Amazon itself, like with the free book that's on Amazon, but at least this link, they come to this page to get the extra materials, then they can sign up to get the templates. And then once they're on my email list, I can put them through a short email funnel trying to sell this cheap course. And also, probably when they download the template, at the end of the template, I will have the same offer. So while they're going through the template that they've downloaded, at the end, I'll say, here's this link to get more help. The course has it's a lot more in depth. It has a lot of extra, more advanced resources that aren't in this template at all. So I can communicate that. So when they download the template, they can, buy that course, and then the course would have an upsell or a follow-up or coaching. There would be like extra steps to take. You kind of want different pricing tiers. The bigger the audience, like when they're new writers, they may not be willing to invest a lot in the writing stage. They really just need the confidence and motivation to finish the book. So that's really what I want to help people with. Then I can help them with the marketing or the other stuff. They could get into my guerrilla publishing program or some of my other more advanced programs. So that's kind of what I'm setting up, that I'm excited about. And it's using a permafree book on Amazon and also on other sites, just so it's kind of out there everywhere. That's something I'll give away. But it'll be a lot more visibility, and it should also be a really great funnel for that other book that I'm planning to write. I would like to get maybe 1,000 pre-orders. If I had pre-order privileges, I would push this book really hard and try to get like 10,000 free downloads of this book, and then hopefully get some of my audience to buy that new book that's coming out. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to do that. It depends on if I get my pre-orders back. Otherwise, I just have to do like a really big launch with advertising. But I do think these are really high quality books, and they do kind of set me up as like more of an advanced writing coach and not just the marketing guy, which is kind of a shift I've been trying to embrace recently. So I've already started to set it up on Kindle. I'm not going to enroll in KDP Select. To make a book perma-free, I need to publish it at 99 cents. And then I need to publish on Draft2Digital or Smashwords as free, so it gets up on iBooks and other platforms. You have to be careful not to put like links to Amazon on the version that's going out to the other platforms, because they won't accept it. And the other kind of interesting thing, I think, is that they will charge you a delivery fee. So they say my book size is 5 megabytes, and the delivery fee will eat into your profits. But I think that doesn't really matter for a perma-free book. So once they price match it, it's not going to matter anyway. So I could include more graphs or more research or more like pictures in the book. And I may go back and do that, because I think the pictures can be really useful or helpful. I may even, because the main idea of the book is that you should try to draw your scenes so that you can picture them kind of as photographs. So I may go back and like hire an artist to develop some really cool art or something for me. Anyway, this doesn't really matter so much, but I'm going to click it and hit publish. So this isn't going to go live immediately. Oops, there's an issue there. Oh, I have to select one of these. So I'll just select that, and then it should go through. So now that book is in review. I made this really cool cover. I'm pretty happy with it. This is very different from the paperback version, which I had. And it will offer to start my paperback now. I'll actually try to get these two linked, even though the covers are really different. This is the activity book style that I made, and I liked it at the time. It's got a cool cover with cool art and stuff. But this one's definitely a lot more, I think it'll appeal to like serious craft writers, and that's kind of what I want to focus on, is attracting writers who are interested in improving their craft. So that's going to go up as the free book. Like I said, that will be perma-free, and I'll use that to funnel people into my, well, to get them to my website, retarget them with ads, get them on an email list, maybe get them to buy a course or even just the next book on writing, which I really want to make successful. So that's kind of exciting. That's the stuff that I'm working on. This is going to be perma-free. It's not right now because I just hit publish, but in a day or two, it'll be up on Amazon. I do feel like it's missing something, so I'm going to probably add a little bit to it. If you are in my guerrilla publishing group and you want to offer me some quick feedback or comments, like what's missing, what do you need help with, what would you like to learn more about, I do have the more advanced book on writing where I'll get into the kind of the weeds, and I want to keep this one pretty simple, but I also want to make sure, it's transformational. I want to make sure, even though it's a free book, I want to make sure it's something that is so useful. People are like, this book is great, you have to go read this book, it really helped me finish my novel. That's the effect I'm really going for. So like even in a free thing, it's got to be better than anything else on the market. So that's what I did tonight. I'm pretty excited about. I'll probably follow up once I'm ready to publish the next book. I'll talk about how I'm building a funnel for these nonfiction books. I'm also kind of excited because a lot of my nonfiction books have been about marketing or publishing, but they're kind of specialized, and I feel like the craft of writing has such a bigger audience. There are millions and millions of people who want to write books, who are buying books on writing. So I hope these resources are useful, and by creating resources for the bottom of the pyramid, which just means like if I'm offering something to help you market your book, I'm only appealing to the people who've actually finished the book. Whereas if I'm helping people finish books, it's more people. So if I'm creating the right content for the biggest audience that potentially, like once I lead them up the funnel, they could become clients, or they might need more help or buy courses or whatever. But I want to make sure I'm meeting the largest audience, which is still kind of in the basic getting started, like how do I even start organizing my novel. And so that's why I'm kind of excited about this one, and also why I'm excited about the new book on writing, because I think it's really good stuff that nobody else has taught or talked about before, and also because I think it's just a really large audience, so it's going to position me a lot more, hopefully, as a writing coach, a literary gentleman, that kind of thing. And that's kind of what I would like to be known as. Then I can kind of pivot and go into these other books on creativity and the creative process, which I'm also really excited about, which fits more the brand that I built, which is creativity, but I've never really focused on putting out the right kind of content and building my audience in the right kind of way to develop the brand or the job that I want, the career that I want to be known for, the platform that I want to be known for. And so having more general nonfiction books, both the free version and the paid version, running ads on them can be a way for me to scale really quickly, especially like if this book and the other book, even if it just has that $17 course, that's really going to help justify my ad spend. So even if I'm losing money on ads for the books themselves, I could make it back pretty quickly by selling that cheap introduction course on writing, which means once you're able to offset your ad spend, you can grow a platform really, really quickly. The main thing is you just want to make sure you're building the platform you want, and you're creating the career that you want to be known for. So knowing who your audience is, what they need, what they want, what you have to offer them, and also like figuring out how you want to be seen. So a little bit of like how you're communicating yourself to that audience. They're downloading a free book, they don't know anything about you, they don't really care or want to know anything about you, but you sneak in a little bits of credibility. So I have a lot of quotes probably in the front of the book. Even this book, I'll probably put in some quotes at the beginning that's just about like the process, like the plot dot helped me finish my book. And at the end of the book, I might do some stuff like all the reviews I've got on my guerrilla publishing program, like Derek Murphy is the go-to resource for self-publishing. I've got a lot of stuff like that because my resources have helped a lot of people. But I want to make sure I feature those kinds of reviews and content so that I'm setting myself up as a credible expert. So they're getting value, and I'm also introducing them to me and without any hard sells or like, buy my product. I just want them to feel and respect the value that I'm providing and to kind of know what I have to offer, and to know that my content is good. That's kind of the value of putting out a free book. I hear a lot of people talking about like, why would I put out a perma-free book? Why don't I get paid for my effort? It's really just because I know this free book is gonna be so much more effective than running ads to a free book. That's also why, like running ads to a webinar, or some people say like running ads to, I could have this as a lead gen or landing page. I could run Facebook ads straight to a landing page to get them to sign up for the free book. But my conversion's not going to be as great, and I have to pay for every view, every visibility. I have to pay for everybody who clicks that link and downloads the book. And I have them on my email list, so the conversion will be higher. This way of doing things, it's just out there. I don't have to really market it or push it. People will just find it and download it because they'll be looking for this kind of book. So I've done my keywords right. I can't even show you. I might have a 1 second. So my blurb looks something like this. I have writing a book in top. It's a heading tag. That's really good for SEO or search because writing a book is the biggest search term. So people are searching for writing a book, and having it up here on the left in bold or H1 tag, that should help with search results. But then I also have a plotting guide, fiction authors who hate outlining. I've hit a lot of keywords here, but I've also hit the pain point. This is for fiction authors who hate outlining. So I'm already getting over kind of the resistance. A lot of authors resist outlining or plotting because they feel like it's unnatural. They feel like it threatens their creativity. So I have to address that pain point really quickly, and I kind of do that with my subtitles. And then I also do this, like this is more the pain point. I do a little bit of personal branding where, early criticism made me give up writing for nearly a decade. That makes me sympathetic and humanizes me a little bit. Looks like I didn't finish this part, but I think the version I put up on Amazon, I finished it. So I basically said, I struggled with this thing. I spent years overcoming it, and I created this simple 8-step framework that authors can use to improve their writing. So it's a pretty basic thing. And then I focus on, whether you're a pantser or a plotter. So it's kind of everybody guided exercises. I'm really focusing on like, this will help you, but this is simple and easy. This isn't overwhelming. This is a simple workbook that will solve a problem. Because I do want it to be, I want it to be something that's a valuable resource without being overwhelming. Because I think authors are already kind of overwhelmed. There's a lot of different systems for plotting and outlining and stuff. So this is a pretty decent blurb because I hit a lot of keywords. I focus on the pain points, the potential benefits, who the audience is, who it's for, what it will help you to do, and then the final, like, create unforgettable scenes that make a deep and lasting impact. It ends with a really positive, like, not with benefits. You don't want to, there's a quote that's something like you sell the hole, not the shovel. I don't think that's right, but it's something like that. Like people, it's the same thing with the drill. There's a metaphor about a drill. Like you don't sell a 1/4-inch drill, you sell the 1/4-inch hole. You sell the thing that they actually want. The tool is just to help them get the thing that they actually want. So most authors want to make a deeper, lasting impact. And that's also like people resist plotting because they feel it's not creative, they're not creating good books. So I want to also focus on, this is not just writing to market, this is not just writing commercial fiction. Some of my stuff I say like, writing good books will help you sell more books. But if I say sell more books, a lot of authors feel like, I don't care about the market, I don't care about making money. They do care about making a deep and lasting impact. So I focus a little bit more, like this will attract craft writers because it's a really interesting thing, but a lot of authors start off not caring about the money or the marketing. They think they want to leave a lasting, deep impact, but they think that if they focus on the marketing or the outlining or like, write by the numbers or write to the market, they think that will devalue their work and they won't be creating pure art. That's not actually true, but the majority of first-time authors still believe that. So if I just tell them like, here's how to write a book that sells, that's not going to appeal to those people. So I have to know what kind of audience is going to resonate with where my audience is at that stage. When they're ready for this book, what are they thinking? What are they feeling? I have to make sure I use the right terminology that doesn't, scare them off. And I think that's a lot of stuff that I've learned this year that I've made mistakes in the past. So I feel like that's going to do pretty well. Anyway, I'll end this video here. Like I said, this is going to be for on Amazon. If you want, it's 99 cents. It'll be up like pretty soon at 99 cents. So you could grab a copy if you want, or if you wait 3 or 4 days, it'll probably be up and it'll be free. So either way, if you've already read the plot dot, I'd recommend going through it again just because this version is cleaned and updated and I've added a little bit more content. It's basically the same thing, but it's just there's more. There's a little bit more, and I do plan to add even a little bit more because I feel like it needs a little something. But I think it's pretty good. If you haven't read the plot dot and you are interested in writing novels, it's definitely the place to start. Thanks. Bye-bye.